Hello everyone, this is Star Captain Quinn, and welcome to a new video. Today we'll be doing a recap of the Orilium Spring Equinox semester, as well as the Alchemy Questline. So let's get to it. My character, Ezekiel, passed his Spring Equinox semester. Their calling is a scribe. So the 5 classes is Elemental Studies, Inscription, Spells and Incantations, Restoration, and Lore. Now I don't have many of these physically with me anymore because I did it on haul. For Elemental Studies, with Botanic Controls being the course focus, I needed to find a book with flowers on the cover. And I chose Monsoon Mansion by Snell Barnes. This memoir follows the author's childhood growing up in the Philippines. I gave this a 5-star. For Spells and Incantations, with Spell Magic Missiles as the course focus, I needed to read a book with a target length of 189 and 415 pages. And I read These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. When disaster strikes, Lilac and Tarver use an escape shuttle and crash land on a nearby planet, and they both need to survive. I gave this one a 2-star. For Inscription, with Glyph Flight being the course focus, I need to read a book from my highest shelf, and I read Siren Queen by Nevo. This is a kind of magical realism, Hollywood in the 20s story, and I gave this a 2 out of 5 star. For Lore, with Legend of Daya as the course focus, I needed to read a book with a map. And I read Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. This book follows Tarisai, and when her mother sends her to the capital to try to compete with other children to be chosen as one of the Crown Prince's Council of 11, and you follow her journey. I gave this a 5 out of 5 star. I really loved the audiobook, and I highly recommend reading it that way. And the final book for the Spring Equinox, for Restoration, with Occult Cures being the course focus, I needed to pick a book by closing my eyes, shuffling, and pointing. And I chose Do You Dream of Terra 2 by Temi O. This book follows 6 teens and 3 veteran astronauts embarking on a 20-year trip to go to an Earth-like planet that was recently discovered. I gave this a 2 out of 5 star. Next, I'll be going over the Alchemy Quest. So if you haven't finished it and don't want spoilers, I will put a timestamp on the screen and you can fast forward to then. As the quest starts, I chose to accept Auburn's request, so I need to read a book with the word night in the title or night on the cover. And I chose to read Have You Seen Mary by Sandra Cisneros, illustrated by Esther Hernandez. This story is about the author themselves experiencing the loss of her mother. This is a tale of loss, grief, and I gave this a 1 out of 5 star. That decision brought me to the alchemy classroom, and I finished talking to the professor, which means I needed to read a majority of the book with the alchemy theater ambiance room in the background, which I chose Lost in the Moment and Found by Seanan McGuire. This story follows Antoinette. When she goes through the door, she ends up in a shop where the lost things go. I gave this a 3 out of 5 star. That decision led me to the Wild Moon Inn. My first choice was to go to the cloaked figure. I offered to shake the imp's little hand. The prompt was Book from Your Lowest Shelf. And I chose Greenwood by Michael Christie. This is a multi-generational story following the Greenwood family. This decision had me going back to choose another option. My next choice was The Tense Scholar, and I decided to ask to see the goods instead. The prompt was a book you don't know much about, and I chose Day Tripper by Fabio Moon and Gabrielle Ba. This is a mysterious and moving story about life itself, a hauntingly lyrical journey that uses the quiet moments to ask the big questions. I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. That decision had me going back to choose the final option, which was the loud patron. I decided to keep ordering him drinks, and I needed to read a contemporary book. The book that I chose was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabriella Zevin. This story follows Sam and Sadie, spanning 30 years. I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars. With this choice being the correct one, I was able to run outside. Reading the letter, I decided that I must get this letter back to Professor Auburn, which meant I reread a favorite. I decided to read One Piece, Volume 1, by Ichiro Oda. This story follows Monkey D. Luffy and his quest to become the king of pirates. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Once I talked to Professor Auburn, I needed to search for the death glow. The first spot that I decided to check was the floorboards, and that prompt was author's name has a letter Z in it. I read Things We Lost in the Fire by Mariana Enriquez, translated by Megan McDowell. This is a short story collection that is a little spooky and off. I gave this a 2 out of 5 stars. My first choice was incorrect, so the next place that I checked was the ingredients cupboard. The prompt was book with a 4-word title. And for this, I read Not So Best Wishes by CeeLo Evans. This is book 2 in the Warts and Claws Inc. series. This book follows Laura, Mitch, and Cinder. Lorna expected many things to happen, but sparks flying between her, the new HR agent, and her Manticore co-worker wasn't one of them. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. With that being the correct location, the next step was to prepare to destroy it. The prompt for this was use a color wheel to decide your next read, and I spun on black. I chose to read Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin, translated by Megan McDowell and Ruth Seth. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. Once the death glow was destroyed, I chose The Key to Professor Auburn's Study. And there you have it. This is Star Captain Quinn, signing out.